Hello everybody and welcome. Here we are with some more Rogue Trader. We left we can't go back out. We'll go back out. We left off at the end of the last episode doing our Lord Captain duties on the Voidbreaker. We were just in the astropathic chapel, and we've just run over to the shrine because that seems to be our last. Suspicious messages contain content of this course. Ah, yeah, we gotta talk about that. But this is that we need to. We found who they were. We need to go talk to.
Is there money to be made
here? And be like, don't worry about it. It's all good, chief. Let's see. Found the source of the confessions. You have nothing to worry about. No, nothing indeed. I will pass the confessions on with a note regarding your personal involvement. The Initiate looks at you with equal parts astonishment and admiration. May the Emperor protect your lordship. Done. Stop people again. More about this place. You're positively beaming with joy. A priest like you is a risk. The lady thought, I don't really care about that. Easy. The compiler has been malfunctioning. The astropathic didn't saw need of help, and the rogue trader may wish to provide it. Odianthus 11. I need to find new blood, requires a new engine here. Yep, we need a new engine and a new Kibellah. And the psychic stream is coming from the astropathic station, driven by the ship's astropath. Driving the ship's astropath Maz Kai, the Master West, has asked the Lord Captain to visit the station, so that's where we're I think we're gonna.
Let us not dawdle.
So we need to go to the bridge. And to the map. So now we can go to Astropathic Station, we can go to we already done that one. To the Urak 5 Navis Blade Station or its Astropath. We have 0 people, we have 0 provisions, 0 chemicals, 0 plus steel, 0 mechanisms, 0 promethium, weapons, xenotech, adamantite, phlogiston, and profit factor. Let's go here. Let's go to the Astropathic Astropathic Station, Jesus. Permission to speak. Oh, apology. Permission to speak, Lord Captain. Members of a sacred cult operating aboard this ship have requested an audience. They wish to present gifts and introduce themselves to their new captain. What sacred cult? Yeah, they call themselves the Bloodspun Web. The cult defends the flagship from both internal and external threats. Lady Theodora held them in high regard and looks favourably upon their activities. I'm ready to receive them. I'll commence preparations at once, Lord Commander. Lord Captain. There's been a mess on my floor. Why would those 2 guys stay there? So there's no purpose. There's the people they just murdered. Those on the deck watch in awe as the final figure moves gracefully into the ceremonial pose. Some of the voice officers whisper in excitement while others murmur God prayers to the God Emperor.
The Undying Emperor commanded us to spin a web of blood around his children, and we obeyed. We obey still.
They fall silent as the tall young woman steps forward. She moves towards you soundlessly, the dim light casting shadows across the mask which conceals her face. The masked cultists repeat the words in a mournful whisper. We still obey. You put them away?
Domin von Valancius, death has whispered your name.
The woman
We
slender.
disown Domin Theodora. We renounce our oath to her.
The woman's slender finger has been fitted with a metal claw. She points it in your direction and gazes at you from behind her bone mask with the cold, grim eyes of an assassin. She pulls out a sinister curved blade. A similar weapon suddenly appears in the hands of her motionless companions. Through it like a death cult assassin.
And now we give the gift of our blood to you. It is the gift of death. Death has whispered your name. The followers of the tenets of the web swear fealty to their new overlord and offer proof of their devotion.
Their blades sink through the air and ribbons of crimson flow onto the deck. The young woman bows her head reverently as she hands you a heavy parcel. The others bow their heads as well. They seem unconcerned by the blood that trickles down their finger.
We give you a blade, the silent verdict. The Undying One has chosen you to wield this instrument of death. We give you one of our own, Kibellah. She will be your shield and shadow. And we give you the blood of these traitors. The tenets of the web will purify their souls.
Nice. You have heard many stories about death cults such as this one, and these devoted holy assassins of the Imperium have turned death into a form of worship of the Emperor. They are exemplary slayers, invisible executioners, and the scourge of traitors, heretics, and fallen souls. Many righteous people honor them as votaries of the faith, while others see their fearsome rituals as frenzied spectacles touched by madness. Interesting. So a death cult watches over my crew. They who honor the Emperor through killing, who devote to every deed to serving him, sacred executioners. Examine the captives. The prisoners cower beneath the weight of your gaze. Blood drips down the tear-stained faces of the captured officers. Technomats. Officers, technomats, and workers. A word has been carved into each of their foreheads with a meticulous precision. Traitor, heretic, apostate, and renegade. The cuts have been diligently and regularly reopened to prevent healing.
These renegades committed treachery against their domin. Their lips once praised the name of Conrad Voidbreaker, but it is your name they will whisper as they cross over to the other side.
Examine the cultists. The cultists are all voidborn. Their lithe, sinewy bodies are clad in light armor, which allows them to move with an acrobat's nimble grace and strike with an assassin's swift surety. Their red and black vestments are adorned with sharp spikes and ritual jewelry. Where time and training have worn their garments threadbare, you can make out patterns of bleeding lacerations. Interesting. So a death cult watches over my crew. They who honor the Emperor through killing, who devote their every deed to serving him. Sacred executioners.
The Domin has discerned our essence. This is a great honor for the blood-spun web. We have woven the bays of this ship together with the threads of our faith for many years. We keep the greatest relic, his tarot, through which he sends us his blessed revelations. We obey the whispers of the Undying One. This is our service to him. This is our service to you.
A deck of psychoactive cards bearing sacred and meaningful images. Tarot cards are used for divination and predicting the future. They are believed to be able to capture images sent by the Emperor himself. In the hands of a skilled psyker, the Emperor's Tarot can be a truly potential divination tool.
How interesting. Devout assassins who believe themselves to be instruments of a higher power. They revel in violence and cannot tell the difference between bloodthirst and piety. They follow their faith blindly, unaware of how closely they tread the corruption and depravity. Look at them. They stand on the edge of a precipice. The smallest push will send them plummeting into the abyss. You could be their downfall. All you have to do is push.
Tell me about yourself, Kibellah. Are you the leader of the Bloodspun Web, or its herald, or its servant?
I am the second spinner of the Bloodspun Web. The honor of this title is bestowed only upon those who have ushered more souls than... It is shameful to speak of one's own deeds. I'm here to become your shadow, not to make boasts.
Kibellah stops abruptly. She touches a slender finger to the fresh wound on her hand and paints the symbol of a lock across her lips in blood. Fair enough. Nod towards the captives. Why have you brought this rabble to the upper decks?
So you may offer the souls of these traitors as a gift to him. You have the authority to order their execution. Their blood will bind us together through him. For the God Emperor, the Undying One, is death itself. The Undying One is duty itself.
Kibellah touches her sharp blade reverently to her lips. The captives tremble in fear at the sight of her weapon.
Give the order, Domin. Let a spinner of the Bloodspun Web undergo the test of a sacred trial.
I will judge the traitors myself.
Then, I will tell you of the treacherous blood that runs through their veins.
Okie dokie. These wretched apostates were caught trying to sabotage a reactor. They are guilty of treason. I swear, we are not Sabo. A woman in a tattered protective suit pushes forward in protest, but her movement is halted by the thin cord wrapped around her neck. You notice that all the captives have been similarly restrained. The woman clutches her throat as a thin line of scarlet appears between her fingers. Theft of weapons, sabotage, and the death of the crew in Bay AL-82. Do you have proof of these charges, or are such claims the result of cultic revelations? There is doubt in the Infernus Master's gentle voice. With all due respect, it is difficult to discern the truth of these accusations without evidence. Divine reasons, visions, and dark portents may be reason enough for you to shed blood, but not everyone here shares your perspective. Enough, Einrich. The Lord Captain will decide the truth of these claims for themselves. What about those prisoners you killed during the procession? Did you feel entitled to stand in judgment over them? Not covered. Kibellah, is it true these things were revealed to you through visions? What do the accused have to say in their defense? The cord around the prisoner's necks loosens just enough for them to speak. Have mercy, we're just technical tunnel workers, we are told. We were told to block the ventilation shaft leading into the reactor room. Fume leakage, supposedly. We didn't know we were doing anything wrong, we were just following orders. And as for why we were holding weapons, that was, well, you know. The woman scratches her cheek nervously. She's lying. An injured officer scowls angrily. They smeared blood on themselves and crawled out of the tunnels wailing, "Oh no, the ship's being attacked, there are enemies everywhere, defend the bay!" We rushed off to investigate, and they used their cutters to break into the weapon storage at our guard station. They stole guns and headed straight for the reactor room. Bone and sinew revealed your hubris. You abandoned vigilance for the promise of glory. You did not give weapons to the traitors, but you left your post to seek a hero's path. Though you did not act with treasonous intent, you are complicit nonetheless. Rest of will not punish you or your men. Continue your service and do not make any mistakes. This is a pretty bad one. These commoners wanted to enter the reactor room. I shall fulfill their wish. Throw the traders into the steam generator. They can boil and ooh. Workers, for their guilt is unproven. Let them labour on the ship, but under the superstition of the clauses. The officer and his subordinates are to be demoted without the right to reinstatement. Look, they did make a mistake. And a pretty bad one. I want them to be demoted, but not without the right of reinstatement. So like I want them to be demoted, pushed down a couple of ranks, punished, maybe put in the brig for a bit. Just spare the lives of the workers they're guilty. So proven, yes it is, they crawled through the frickin' vents covered in blood, cut out, stole their weapons. No, the workers can die. These guys, I want them to be punished. What should be done with the rest of the prisoners, Lord Captain? These commoners wanted to enter the reactor room. I shall fulfill their wish. I shall spare the lives of the workers, for their guilt is unproven. Let them labour on the ship, but under the supervision of the forces. Get this treacherous rabble out of my sight and shoot them. Mercy, Lord Captain, mercy! The Lord Captain has spoken. Take them away! I could not honour you by ushering the souls of those traitors to the other side. This troubles me, for I wish to serve you as the sword serves its master. Will you make me your shield and shadow? Your lordship, the spinners of the blood-spun web were watching, tracking and killing Von Valencia enemies long before the warrant of trade passed to Lady Theodora. However, their blade has also been known to cut short the lives of highly upstanding persons. The Factorum swallows nervously, casting a fleeting glance at Kibellah. But I do not in any way condemn their deeds of the deeply esteemed cult. I am sure they must have had good reason. The Master-at-Arms clears this out. The cultists are the scourge of the seditious. They bring the unrighteous to ruin. The enforcers respect the blood-spun web, for we share a common goal to bring his light and his harsh judgment to the darkest depths of this ship. Scourge of the seditious, well known. Folks are afraid of them for a reason. A couple of watches ago, these spinners took a train driver to pieces for some kind of ritual. I don't know what old Malok did to earn that privilege, though, and who's going to feed his family now? Enric takes a drag of his Io stick, inhaling the thick smoke through his clenched teeth. But that's a lower deck problem. What matters is that blood-spun web serves you faithfully, Lord Captain. Confessor. Oh, it's the priest. Sorry. Adalbert. The professor's predecessor once delivered a sermon about how the spinners saved this vessel from the servants of the arch-enemy. The blood-spun web paid the price in blood, a river of squalor that flooded the decks from the bridge to bilge. They became the blood of the flagship, the pulse in its veins and the beat of its heart. Their great sacrifice earned them the favour of House von Valencia. I wish to hear what my retinue thinks. Confessor, tell me about the spinner's great sacrifice. You have enough fighters in my retinue. I do not need the gods. You can be my shadow. Kibellah's movements are slow, almost rhythmic, as she removes her ceremonial mask. The dark shadows of her eyes accentuate the deathly pallor of her skin, which is covered in ritual scars. Henceforth I am your shadow, an instrument of death placed in your hand by the Undying One, for so it was ordained, and so his tarot forspoke. The young woman bows her head once more. I also come bearing an invitation from the Vizier of the Bloodspun Web. He wishes you to know that the doors of the Undying One's temple are open to you. Are you suggesting the Lord Captain should go down into the depths of his flagship to search for this temple? With all due respect, the lower decks are for servants and crews. They are not a fitting place for his lordship. Why is he not here to deliver? Yeah, why is the Vizier not here to deliver the message himself? The first spinner is old, his abode is in the temple beneath the flagship's freight line, and he has not left the lower decks in decades. Even a short journey could rend sundown the spirit from his ancient body. Where is your temple located? I am not permitted to say. If you wish to find the temple, you must walk the path of the Saint Ariane, the matriarch spider. Hers was the thread that would become the blood-spun web. Fair enough. The path began deep within the flagship, in the dark tunnels of the freight line, and that is where yours must begin as well. This journey will bring you closer to the thread of web, closer to the undying one, closer to understanding death. I do not see the point of this route. Also, temple is part of my flagship. What does it not make sense? It's like, I will walk them. I will walk the footsteps. Your journey will begin in the darkness of the deepest tunnel. The Vizier awaits you. The cultists retreat into the shadows as Kibellah sheathes her ceremonial dagger. Your blade awaits direction. Domin Sigismund. We will begin again. We will speak again when the time is right. Cool, new person. I'm assuming. The Rogue Trader ship is a veritable city sailing through the void. The ship has numerous compartments that you can visit. Navigate these compartments using the map of the ship, which you can access from the main bridge elevator. Oh. Nope, not good. Quarters. I just want to see something. I keep pressing different buttons because I'm playing different games. Okay, freight line is now an option. We're not going to do that right yet. Kibellah. What do we have? Spinner mask. If the wearer has 10 or more stacks of blood blessed, they gain resolve. Light spinner breastplate and a spinner sword. Ah, that's what I wanted to do. I'm going to get rid of that for a silent verdict. Do I send you instead of using that? Will you that? Ooh, Wrath of Saint Drusus and a shotgun. Ah, that's right. It doesn't have an air attack, increases damage from all sources against any hit targets by 15% until the end of combat, doesn't say chain, weapons deal plus 25% critical damage. Most warriors prefer swords, for they provide more flexibility on the battlefield against close combat enemies. Minus 10 to ebony weapons, come on here. And parry is very similar, better armor penetration. You don't need to kill masses of people, so it's very better for you. So he loses a little bit of parry, but hits like a truck. You got a shotgun. Now, rending shots. Shotgun, knock enemies back when shot at effective range. Shots from this. Shotgun push targets 3 cells away even if the shot's missed. Okay, that's pretty good. Apart from that, it's just a slightly better shotgun. Nothing super fantastic. Alright, you are a Blade Dancer, and you already have some levels. So what have we got now? Anytime an amateur ability or talent uses the fellowship bonus, a Voidborn character can instead use the intelligence bonus if it is higher. Contagious luck. Using a non-damage ability on an ally. Well, one character has more than 50% wounds. Or chances of all creatures, including enemies, against these authorities are decreased by 10%. Just flesh me in the weaker. 20% chance to survive after suffering lethal damage. Agility. Where do we go? Any blade dancer attack made with a sword. Deal plus agility bonus. Percentage additional damage. Bonus damage is doubled if using a two-handed sword. Enemies attacked by the blade dancer. I'm gonna just got one single one-handed sword. Better in the sword attack inflicts the disturbed effect on the target for 2 rounds. She's already suffering a disturbed effect. The attack deals additional damage. She's gonna be up close, but she probably needs something. These can go cargo. I still think I still need to read them, which we'll do soon. Each time the Death Cult Assassin parries or dodges an attack, all enemies with the Bloodstained effect suffer. Open the Veins. A creature with a blessed or Bloodstained effect gains +1 stack to this effect whenever bleeding, burning, or toxic is inflicted. I think particularly Combat Master might be good. Oh, Dueling Mastery. I think you're going to be dueling. Nimble might be good. I'm gonna wait for this level up. That's some pretty basic stuff. But again, basic, and that's just more of this. Death from above deals damage double to enemy. What do we got? So we got agility, weapon skills, okay, and toughness is okay. But that's it. Pretty good chance to dodge. And a very good chance to parry. It's just a better... Death Waltz. Heroic action. Okay, interesting. I like this one actually. Because that should mean that because this guy they should all use what's it called? Fellowship. Should all use Fellowship. Oh, that's interesting. Actually, what can she be? What can she go to? Sorry, Assassin, Master of Institution, Harsh Militant, Executioner, and she can be an Exemplar. Strategist, Vanguard, Overseer, Arch Militant. Okay, they're not really adding anything particularly extra. I think we're going to leave with ourselves. Get Assassin out of this. Ah, my god! I think we're going to leave her out of this for now. Shit, cancel. Go away.
Maybe
we're gonna get out of here and maybe make plan of all. We don't get freaking sidetracked again. Wish this question mark would go away. It's not a question mark. Lord Captain, sorry to disturb you. Vigidus pauses as if listening to someone. It's pandemonium outside the bridge gate. One of the officers seems to be demanding an audience with you in person. I think I hear Master Wessarian's voice. In any case, I wanted to warn you in advance. Spinny chair. The everyday sounds of the bridge are disrupted by voices raised in anger. Abelard's voice is the loudest of all. This is not the conduct of an officer. These are the antics of a highborn brat. Out on a lark, explain yourself, Lieutenant. The young woman standing before can receive Peters. Before Abelard strives with all her might not to quail under the onslaught of her superior's anger. She falters, but manages to look him in the eye and say, I apologize, sir, but I must speak to the Lord Captain. Very well, Lieutenant, you may address the Lord Captain, not least because I see you have already seen fit to disturb him. Your unauthorized appearance on the bridge and display of belligerence towards a high-ranking officer will be logged in your personal file without delay. Yeah, that's actually really important to do. Lord Captain, Lieutenant Avrila Vent. I request permission to speak. Vent falls silent and then adds rashly, on a matter of extreme importance and urgency. What do we got? I will listen to what you have to say. Speak, Lieutenant. You may speak, but I want to hear a report, not a shouting match. Having two officers bickering in full view of the bridge is unacceptable. I will not tolerate this kind of conduct. Assign the Lieutenant an appropriate punishment. Yeah. You can speak, but yeah. Everybody shut the fuck up and make it quick. I am sorry, Lord Captain. I thought that drastic times called for drastic measures. Vent exclaims hotly. This matter cannot wait. Any minute now, an assault unit will be dispatched to the lower decks on orders to crush the workers' strike by any means necessary. But I am convinced that this step is unwarranted and that the crisis itself was provoked by the actions of one of the senior officers. Vent is almost trembling with tension as she delivers her speech, her face extremely pale. Abelard, in no hurry to intervene, lets out a skeptical huff. He glances at Sailback, who is standing not far from him, but she remains a stony expression. Lord Captain, I urge you to investigate the actions of Seneschal Wessarian and intervene in what's happening on the lower decks, because very soon we will have a mutiny or a massacre on our hands. Vent reels off the last words as though she knows them by heart. She has clearly been preparing to say them for some time. When she is finished, she casts an anxious glance at Abelard, then at you. Here, there's an insurrection in the making aboard my ship, and no one has informed me. Yeah. It wouldn't deem it a problem worthy of a road trader's attention. The lower decks, as it so happens, are in revolt. 37 years ago, we even had a revolutionary leader rise up who dared to establish workers' rule across the entire ship. It took a month to restore order, but even 8 years later we are still battling rumours that the hero had survived his execution and was on the urge of gathering people to fight against tyranny once more. Abelard scoffs. Needless to say, the rumours were baseless. As for the current situation, we have sufficient enforcers to deal with it. But on this ship, the word of the Lord Captain carries more weight than a salvo from 100 bolters. I'm sure that if the road trader addressed the malcontents directly, he will quell the unrest. I dread to think what problem you will disturb the road trader with next. Perhaps you will ask the Lord Captain to break up brawls in the mess room. I have already gathered I have already given you the means to resolve this problem. You simply need to use them. If I may, your lordship, sending a hit squad to crush the rebellion is a means of ignoring the problem and solving it. Yeah, I agree. How did this start? She already told us. Where does Seneschal Wessarian come into this? I shall explain. Abelard intones grimly. I beg you to hurry. Time is running out. I will not hurry. Since my competence is under scrutiny, I shall speak for as long as I see fit. There is an established order to the right way things are done on this ship, and one of the pillars of that system is that the road trader's attention is not distracted by trivial matters. It is the Seneschal's role to ensure that. I've always handled internal problems myself, so of course, when I received information about cultists hiding on the lower decks, I took the matter in hand. As long as I live, not one of the vermin who murdered Theodora von Valencia will find refuge on her ship. You were far too heavy-handed, Seneschal Westirian. Arrests, interrogations, mass punishments for entire sectors, it has driven the people to the brink. Ved says bitterly. Now there is a strike on the lower decks, in Depot 4 to be precise. 3 worker clans are involved, but many more are passively supporting them. The situation could degenerate into an all-out insurrection, but when I reported my concerns, the only response I received was an order to dispatch an assault unit and crush the strike with maximum force. I want to hit both those. What is Depot 4? Depot 4 is one of the poorest sectors on the lower decks. It is home to clans of general labourers. They are not as valuable to the ship as the families who have served in specialised systems for generations. They are easily replaceable resources, and one which is now more besides giving succour to cultists and minions of the arch enemy. Depot 4 is poor and troubled, but at worst that means drunken fights and illegal rock gut brewing. We have handled the workers of Depot 4 in the past. We would have done so again if the crackdown on Depot 4 hadn't been so harsh. And another important point to bear in mind, the problem is not limited to this sector, it is located on one of the most populated lower decks, and everything that happens there is a knock-on effect on all the neighbouring sectors. How did this all start? Okay, the situation could boil over any minute, so I'll give you the condensed version. It all began when the enforcers found a cultist amulet on the body of someone who'd been killed in a drunken brawl. We reported it up the chain immediately, arranged for the cleansing rites to perform, and opened an investigation. No heretics have been found alive, but the search has brought tensions between enforcers and workers to head. Yeah, okay, well, you did the right thing there. The workers need to understand that. He's doing his job the best way that Theodora taught him how to do, so I'm not going to punish him. I'll take punitive matters. Against him, or even question his judgment. I'm just going to get involved now. Master at Arms. The ship's enforcers report to you, and yet you seem hesitant to provide your own perspective. Lord Captain, unlike Lieutenant Ben, I respect the chain of command and realise that it is not within my rights to challenge my superiors. Sailback bows her head in Abelard's direction. However, a moment later, a serpentine smile appears on her lips. That being said, while I entirely share Master Westirian's opinion of what fate Depot 4 deserves, I must note that this insubordination is a direct consequence of practices that he himself has introduced. Mistress Sailback, I see you have decided to follow the Lieutenant's example after all. Such behaviour does not credit you. Would you say Sailback has singled you out from your peers in any way? Ah, Lord Vent. I see it appears I have unearthed an old squabble. I would prefer... Sailback, explain yourself. The ship's regulations state that the Master at Arms is responsible for resolving all matters related to the ship's enforcer, and yet it is no secret that the Seneschal has a tendency to show partiality. Those enforcers and officers whom he has deemed particularly promising are at all times given permission to approach him for tutelage. No problem there. I cannot deny Master Westirian's experience and insight. The Seneschal has a record of fostering students who have indeed achieved much and demonstrated impeccable performance. However, extending such patronage over the head of their immediate superior encourages disregard for hierarchy among your lordship's servants. Today an enforcer goes to the Seneschal to report an order from the Master at Arms that they happen to disagree with. Tomorrow they will go to the Lord Captain to object to the Seneschal's order. I notice a pattern in these actions. So she's saying that it's his fault, but she's talking up. Lieutenant Vent, yeah, would you say that the Seneschal has singled you out from your peers in any way? Lord Captain, I swear that Seneschal Wershan has never granted me any privileges, never once advocated for me, nor facilitated my promotions. Although, he is a man who convinced me to become an officer in the first place. He has offered me extensive guidance in my service, for which I am grateful to him. And while not all my fellows receive such attention, I know of at least a dozen fine officers whom the Seneschal keeps in his sights to ensure that they continue to strive. I don't see a problem with this. Yeah, that's perfectly fine. To prepare new generations of the dynasty's servants, to instruct them, and to separate those with potential from those who have exhausted it, that is my duty as Seneschal. The ship has bays worth of pilots, enforcers, officers, technicians, and stewards from whom I have raised personally by the throne. Every third person standing on this bridge right now was my student at one point. I see. Evidently, my officers are anything but a shining example of unity and adherence today. I have only myself to blame, I suppose. Abelard, what do you have to say to all this? I see no need to add anything. I acted with the remit of my authority, guided exclusively by the best interest of your protectorate and your personal safety. If you wish to confirm the rectitude of my actions yourself, I have no objections. For my part, I urge the Lord Captain to go to the lower deck, stop the assault unit, and speak directly to the people. You will see that they are not lying or harboring heretics. That way, you will stop the uprising before it begins. The matter is not for the rogue traders' time, Abelard. You have acted with staggering incompetence. From now on, you will sort out your own problems. Get out. This matter is not worth the rogue traders' time. Abelard, you have acted with staggering incompetence. From now on, you will sort out your own problems. Get out and take that upstart with you. Why am I grumpy at him? I am certain the Seneschal's actions were within his authority, but I will verify the soundness of his decisions myself. Third, preserve you, Lord Captain. Thank you for support. Abelard grits his teeth slightly. An enterprise bordering on the sophomoric. Please yourself, Captain. Please yourself. Lord Captain. However, I categorically insist that I escort you. Lord Captain, I regret that the enforcers were unable to handle the situation, which then led to your and the Seneschal's involvement. I consider it my duty to go to deep before myself and see to the expedient resolution of this incident. One, two, three, four, five. Oh, I can have everybody. No. I thought it was going to be like a 4-person party max. Maybe I can have... I'm just going to quickly Google how many people I can have in my party, because I have no idea. Rogue trader party size. Not really, you're just kind of giving yourself. The game is doable solo, but there's no real reason not to deploy a 6-man team unless you want the extra challenge. Oh, okay, 6-man team it is. Excellent. That's a 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, I should level her up there. But yeah, I'm gonna level her up. Okay, I'm gonna go with offensive. The Death of Blood, the Death of Assassin allies deal +2/+2 more damage to enemies if both the ally and their target stand on a blood-covered cell. Huh. I think I like Contagious Lock. Using a non-damage ability on an ally grants that ally the ability to reroll any failed attack, dodge, bloody mess. We got anytime a Voidbreaker character scores a critical hit, there is a 10% chance to double the damage. Hell yeah. I think we're just gonna pump agility. I do like that. Oath of Vengeance. This ability costs 8 wounds to use. The Blade Dancer selects an ally until the end of combat. Attacks made by the Blade Dancer against enemies who have already attacked that ally gain +15% critical hit chance and +20% critical damage. This ability can be used multiple times per turn, but the bonuses do not stack. 8 wounds to use. Blade Dancer targets a single enemy vowing to dispatch their mark. The Blade Dancer's next attack against their selected enemy cannot be dodged or parried. If their attack kills the target, the Blade Dancer regains 13 wounds and gains 1 AP along with an additional attack this turn. This can be used multiple times per turn, but it grants 1 AP and additional attack only once per round. Blade Dancer's next attack inflicts bleeding on all targets hit. These targets must pass a toughness resistance test. With a -20 penalty, become immobilized for 1 round. Oh, I like Blood Oath. Definitely into athletics. I don't really care about these two for that. Again, I think I want to go into that and blade in. Yes, Blade Master attacks made with the sword deal agility to this person is double if using a 2-handed sword. I like that one. Just basic, more damage. Now, the only thing is, do I give her that big sword? I think I should. Excellent.
Always keep your eye on the prize.
Hey, it's Wisterian. Take that, scum. Yeah, did she just throw poo or acid? Abelard reflectively wipes the sweat from his brow in a startlingly human gesture. And a telling one, a rare moment where he allows his age and weariness to show through his armor like veneer of self-assurance. The lower decks are a source of endless problems. Sometimes I dearly regret that we cannot replace all the locals with servitors. The people dared to disrespect. Did you hear? They were shouting your name. Of course they were. The organization of the daily routine life of the ship rests upon my shoulders. The mountain of challenges and problems from which I endeavour to insulate you, Lord Captain. The situation on the lower decks has been a cause for concern, and I have intervened personally on more than one occasion. That must be why they remember me. They do not know your face. To them you are akin to the creature of legend, one who has stood on the steps of the Golden Throne, no less. Whereas I am the man whose name is attached to every order docking rations or lowering the base heating. Let's keep moving. Something resembling a nest made out of thermal insulation material must be in work asleep between ships. Lower deck
Rise
rebel.
to the top, or get left in the dust.
Lower deck rebel. What's this valve do? Nothing. I can't do nothing. Valve. Fuck you. Another valve. And another valve.
Cast your eye there.
2 points and an additional attack. Why are you frenzied? Container that has seen beyond the massive bars. Perhaps examining the pipe will allow you to reach it. Okay, there's going to be something to do with these valves here, that's for sure. What's this map look like? No idea. Go. Alright, here we go. Travel, valves, goods. Machine rats. A set of sacred oils. Oh, wait, what are you talking about? We've already got heaps of those. We don't need that. Inside the box, a string of scratches letters run through. There's different first names, but the same surname. Looks like this box has been passed down to the families for generations.
I always keep my options open.
Yeah, there you go.
I still do not see our purpose in coming here.
Relax, old man. Going for a stroll on the lower decks every once in a while is good for you. Lets you see how the simple folk live.
Huge pipes, the arteries of the ship run through many bays, delivering air, water, heat, and the propulsion force of steam. Arvilla vent. The sounds of a heated discussion reverberate through the ship's bay. Lieutenant Arvilla Vent of the ship's enforcers is barring the path of her superior, Master-at-Arms Jocasta Sauerback, who has arrived clad in armor. Judging by their expression and tone, the standoff has dragged on for some time already and is now reaching boiling point. Lieutenant Vent, my patience is wearing thin. I have given you an order, now get out of my way. I cannot comply with that order, ma'am. Vent looks shaken, but there is a fire in her eyes. This is my deck and my sector. As long as this area remains under the Lord Captain's special oversight, no action will be taken without my express permission. There are only 3 people who are authorized to make me stand down. The first officer, the rogue trader, and the Emperor himself. So not all of my lessons fall on deaf ears, Abelard mutters in a crabby approval. He does not clarify whether he means Vent, or Sauerback looming over her, or both. Your lordship, noticing you, the 2 officers snap to attention and salute, their subordinates following suit a moment later. I give the full soul permission to open fire across the seas of Insurrection with full force. What's the situation? Your lordship, my people have locked down the bay where the strikers are, including their leaders. We have the situation under control as far as resources allow. Under control, Lieutenant. I came here to lead an investigative unit, and what did I see? The rabble is on the verge of mutiny. There is nothing to investigate. This simple call for immediate repression and firing squad. And you, Vent, are a step away from facing charges yourself. I want to speak to the strikers. Ablard's mouth twists, but he restrains himself and says nothing. Right you are, Lord Captain. Allow me to wish you good luck. Hope gleams in Lieutenant Ben's eyes. Sometimes the person on the ground knows the fucking most. And by sometimes I mean most of the fucking time. And by
Is
most
there
of the
money
time,
to be
I mean
made?
fucking almost all the time. Greetings, Your Grace. A dozen pairs of eyes stare apprehensively at you. The people before you are typical inhabitants of the lower decks. You take in their simple clothing, crude weapons, and faces that display varying levels of mutation, from the barely discernible to the strange to the outright grotesque. What are these guys doing? A whisper passes through the crowd as you detect a mixture of fear, astonishment, and joy in their reaction. Finally, 3 people break away from the crowd, an elderly woman and 2 men. These must be the leaders. They bow clumsily before you. Lord Captain, you have come down to us. Tell me what is troubling you. Why are you striking? Yeah, I can't let that go. I don't want to let that go, but I don't want to let that go. How do you explain this? Here's an explanation for you. The people have been pushed to the limits and now they're lashing out. As if we don't know why these top deck units are being sent down here, like that one there that the lieutenant won't let pass. Our clans are all inside the bay that's been sealed off, but the lower decks are big. I'm sure there are some people who've just had enough. We're getting it from all sides. The soldiers have encircled the ones who've risen up. A death squad has just arrived. No wonder folks are lashing out. Their words seem sincere to you, their body language and the glances traded between them reveal that the news of the attack has shocked them. Tell me what is troubling you. Why are you striking? Striking? That's news to us, your lord. Your lordship, says a tall, thin man in worker's garb. All we're doing is asking questions, saying what we think. Shut up, Rivet, snaps the old woman who turned her hostile dark eyes at you. Here's the deal, your lordship. Your damn forces are all over us down here. They say you're looking for cultists. One wrong word and they're reaching for their buttons. If they want to punish someone, they turn off the heating to whole bays for a week at a time, so we get sick and freeze. In my clan, 2 little ones died from inflammation in their lungs, all because of these enforcers. The old woman spits on the floor and rubs at the spittle where her toe of her worn-out shoe. Argenta does not interrupt the workers, but you see the sadness well up in her eyes when the children's deaths are mentioned. She quietly whispers a requiem prayer and makes a sign over herself. It's all true. Vetch is the only enforcer officer who stood up for us. It's clear as day who had a mother from the lower decks and who grew up amidships. That's a strange word. And has no fellow feeling towards us. The grim man with a scarred face throws up his arms. Your lordship, we're no villains here. We're honest workers, your servants. We've plotted no disorder. We went on strike openly, and now we've got guns pointed at us. All we're doing is asking to be allowed to work in peace without being harassed. The persecution started apropos of nothing you say. I was told that one of you was found in possession of a cultist amulet and that there are heretics hiding here. Cultist amulet? What's that? The gewgaw they found on the dead drunkard. If it was something evil or forbidden, we surely didn't know. The enforcers just said they were looking for heretics among us, and everyone obstructing their investigation would be punished. But how could there be heretics here? We know our own people. There have been no new faces around. Definitely not, and if there were, we'd be the first to report them. And as for this amulet or whatever it was, they took it off a dead body. There was no cultist still breathing in our sector, that's for sure. But when the fight broke out, some enterprising fooks looted the body. The boots they came back with. Nobody's ever tread these decks in boots so far, and I can tell you that. It seems to me the cultists have better commanders than us. Oh yeah, the boots really were fine, and there were no harm in taking them, right? As for the amulet, it must have been pocketed by someone who didn't know any better. We don't need any amulets around here. We all worship the Emperor, and when we're working, we bow down before the machine spirits of the large and small transformers and the servo motors, the same way my grandfather was taught 100 years ago by a tech priest who came calling, "Believe us, your lordship. We are people of faith." Naive children, weren't you taught from an early age about the dangers of the arch-enemy's creations? Weren't you warned about any unfamiliar objects? You could be one of them? You were told, Holy Sister, but it was long ago. The last time we saw a confessor in our sector, it was just after I'd had my third little one. That is regrettable, but you cannot lay the burden of leading a righteous life on your shoulders of the Holy Father. Who will you blame when these beasts crawl out of those amulets you stole from the heretics? The Holy Father who was not there, or the scavenger who brought evil down upon himself and his neighbours? Abelard, do you have anything to add? I authorised the use of all necessary measures to locate Chaos worshippers hiding in this sector. The specific steps taken by the officers were not reported to me. Abelard frowns, clearly disgruntled at having to explain himself in the workers' presence. Nevertheless, I am certain that their actions were justified. Cultists are not drunken stevedores. They are the enemy and the threat to the ship. Neutralizing them demands decisive actions. Look. Sourback, was it really necessary to torture these people with gold? The rabble understands only one language, your lordship, that of violence. As per regulations, should the labourer persist with their unwillingness to cooperate, the next step is limiting air supply and cutting off water, which is almost certain to restore order. The peasants can grumble all they want, but in the end, they are the source of their own misery. All they have to do is bow their heads and fall in line, and the need for punitive measures will disappear. Yeah, I know the world we're in and stuff like that, but this is not how you do it. What changes do you want? Would you look at that? The exalted Lord Captain himself is asking us bilge rats what we want. Well, here's what. We want you to rein in your damn enforcers, to quit turning off the heat and stop battering everything that moves. No, that's not it. We want the enforcers gone from here, and we want to be armed. Give us arms. We'll govern ourselves. We'll defend ourselves if these cultists do show their faces. I've been leader of my clan for 20 years now. Getting rid of these club-wielding thugs could only prove things around here. Yeah, that's not happening. You've gone too far, old man. They'll never let the maggots of the lower decks live without the enforcers breathing down their necks. They'll probably even insist on enforcers on the upper decks too. As for weapons, what do we need them for? Because the first days out will have someone shooting their neighbour out of stupidity or drunkenness. We don't need that. If the enforcers stop harassing us, that'll be enough. In return, we'll find the scavengers who robbed the cultist bodies and we'll talk to them, one lower deck to another. If there are any more of those damned amulets about, we'll hand them over to the enforcers ourselves. You speak for yourself and your clan, and I speak for me and mine. I don't want empty gestures, I want real change. They'll promise us the world now, but as soon as the anointed one turns his back, these brutes will be on us even harder than before, all because we dared speak out. The tall worker's eyes dart between the two arguing leaders. Every few seconds he opens his mouth as if planning to agree, but each time he falls silent, simply making a few vague noises of approval. Thoughts, Master at Arms. Thoughts, Abelard, Master at Arms. Coercion. Spreading anarchy on the ship is the first step towards embracing chaos. Putting weapons into untrained hands would be even worse. What's more, the enforcers are needed to maintain oversight and order. Withdraw those demands, and we will consider the rest. Thoughts. The story about scavenging for boots and accidentally picking up a critical amulet doesn't convince me. These people are moments away from rebelling and possibly becoming minions of the arch enemy. We must not give them what they want. Even if they did acquire something innocently, purely out of their own stupidity, that does not mean that they are not tainted with corruption. Very true. What begins as petty thievery can turn into a far graver problem. I have seen it before. Abelard's faces darkened momentarily. In my second war, there was a sergeant in the Imperial Guard regiment that was stationed nearby. The sergeant took an ordinary pocket knife from the body of a heretic, and his whole unit lost their lives for it. When they finally managed to break into the barracks, they found not a single survivor, only the pocket knife, which had grown through all the rows of bed like a metal-choking vine. So when it comes to scavengers, malcontents, strikers, or whatever they'll turn into next, no verdict is simple. Give them no quarter. You have failed to convince me of your trustworthiness. His unrest and everyone who is involved will be eliminated. Fine. How you cope governing yourselves and what difference it makes. Master at Arms, where do you stand? Give the rabble a grox, and they will take an agri-world, Lord Captain. They only understand brute force and will interpret any concession as a sign of weakness. Giving them weapons and recalling the enforcers will be folly. It would only be a matter of time before we had a full-scale mutiny on hands. Yeah, I mean, I don't agree with some of this, but that's fine. Yeah, I mean, they need heat and fucking air, but they don't need guns. Tall worker they call Rivet shrugs and casts a sidelong look at the old woman. Old Nan, listen. Listen, the Lord Captain himself has come down to us and is offering concessions, and I don't know a single person in the whole of Depot 4 who's ever stood next to the rogue trader, let alone talk to them. Back down. Now's not time for you to be stubborn old crone. Listen to us, old man. The 3 clans of Depot 4 ought to act as one. We've made our minds up. It's your turn to decide. Don't ask them to disband the enforcers or give us weapons. We don't need any of that. Old Nan. The old woman hisses in dissatisfaction. You two are ganging up on me, is that it? So brave you are against an old woman. But I'll shut up, I will indeed. I won't go against 2 clan leaders on my own. If you want to make peace with the enforcers, make your peace. That's great, just fantastic. Lord Captain, we all agree. It has decided the persecution will stop, and I will expect you to assist in locating any remaining amulets or weapons left by the cultists. Got some fuel. And some provisions. Okay. Your lordship, thank you. We have not abandoned us, lower deckers. You came yourself to settle everything. I'll tell my grandchildren I lost some fuel and provisions fund about this. Of course, your lordship will root out any nasty business faster than the enforcers and will leave no stone unturned. This is complete bedlam. Are you satisfied, Lord Captain? Then may I...
We are the spearhead of the...
Fate and fortune favor the bold.
Attention to detail is the key to success.
This page is where the start of each shift is marked. The last mark is missing. The workers went on its track right.
That's how it's done.
The gauge shows that the steam pressure in this pipe is close to the maximum. However, it does not reach the... The heat sink warms the air around it to a scorching temperature. This is the warmest part of the bay. The workers have dragged deck chairs here, huh? Turning a different valve will work. Nothing is happening. Perhaps turning a different valve will work. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna get to the lab now.
I always have a backup plan.
Nope, turned a bunch of valves and nothing's happened. Hello.
Success is the only outcome I accept.
Crack grenades, melt the charges, and multi-keys. Hang on a minute.
Keep your wits about you.
Okay, I'm hoping that was just a secret little trail. Stopping unexpectedly, Abelard imperiously dismisses the unit to stand at a distance and addresses your other companion, saying, "I have an urgent matter to discuss with you, Lord Captain. Please give us a moment." Abelard looks at you and his vast vestige of restraint vanishes well. Are you pleased with your investigation, Lord Captain? You no-toed to the disloyal rabble. You believe their lies and show them leniency. Next time the ship is attacked by Goltus, this rabble will help them will welcome them in with open arms and allow them to wreak whatever havoc they like, because they see you as a weak leader. Is that how you see your future at the helm? Look, yeah, there is some truth to your criticism. I should say so. Abelard receives a sigh. But he's just like, you just simply needed to trust me. I would have handled this situation myself had you not decided to intervene, Abelard says. See, remember Lord Captain Theodora, do you think she ever set one slippery foot on the lower decks? No, she did not. Such matters were left to myself and the junior officers, while she dedicated herself to the grand designs for the Protectorate as a true strategist road trader ought. Spent more time on trifling matters, she wouldn't have wound up dead. There is a new Lord Captain aboard this ship now, and I will not repeat her mistakes. I would be only too willing to trust in my seneschal and not fill my head with such matters, but the situation had spiraled out of control. Give me a reason why I should continue listening to your advice and trusting your judgment. Right now, I don't see any. Yeah. Abelard looks at you stunned and exhales loudly, then he nerds quickly. I commend your decisiveness, but I am uncomfortable with introducing new protocols in the midst of a crisis, and Abelard stands upright, stands straight at attention. I lost my temper, Lord Captain, and I believe I ought to explain myself. Abelard speaks slowly, the words not coming to him easily. The prosperity of the Von Valencia Protectorate is not just an empty phrase to me. I left the Imperial Navy for the chance to see it flourish. It was the most momentous day of my life. I did it because I saw in Lord Captain Theodora's deeds the sign of true greatness. Rogue traders do not simply forge new routes and capture worlds. They create order out of anarchy. That creative impulse was entirely lacking during my time in the military. So I left behind everything I had known, everything my family had known. I come from a long line of officers, and I embark upon this incredibly reckless venture. Lord Captain Theodora entrusted me with all the concerns she had no time for. She would go off on her flagship for long periods to distant frontiers on scouting voyages, and the advancement of the entire Protectorate rested on my shoulders. And then suddenly everything that had been built over years and years began to quake, rattling like a flimsy hanger on a seismically active world. One of the senior officers betrayed us all, and the rogue trader was killed, and who knows what is happening on the planets. I tell you this honestly, without fear of appearing weak. All this has come as a grievous blow to me. I am not panicking or grieving, because I cannot allow myself to panic or grieve. I am duty-bound to aid the new rogue trader, to aid you, to find your footings as quickly as possible, and to do that I must insulate you from problems that in the past have been dealt with by tried and tested procedures set out in the ship's regulations. Procedures that were established long ago and have functioned smoothly for decades cannot suddenly be deemed excess to requirements. Theodora trusted in established procedures, and she died. I won't make the same mistake. If you want to keep building the future of the Von Valencia Protectorate with me, stop living in the past. I understand that, but you need to learn how to respect me as your new Lord Captain and Rogue Trader. Accept it and start living in the new world, a new world where Theodora is gone and where you have new decisions to make. The prosperity of Von Valencia's Protectorate is just important to me. You are the only person who has comprehensive knowledge of how things are run on this ship. I think in the future I will follow your recommendations. I value what Theodora created, and I trust that this situation is an aberration in the ship's overwise smooth operation. Since the establishment procedures are working as in origination, I have plenty of sentiment and I've seen plenty of sentiment and hand wringing in recent days, but very little competency. I have no plans on relying on your judgment or your tried and tested procedures in the future. I'm going to give it number 1. Theodora trusted in established procedures, and she died. I won't make the same mistake. If you want to keep, I don't really care about that line, but if you want to keep building the future of the Von Valencia Protectorate with me, stop living in the past. Understand, but you need to, the world where Theodora is gone and you have new decisions, actually. But you need to learn how to respect me as your Lord Commander and Rogue Trader. Accept it and start living in the new world, a world where Theodora is gone and when you and I have new decisions to make. Abelard solemnly inclines his head. Yes, Lord Captain. After a moment's silence, he nods, looking at you with interest. Your resolve is admirable and demonstrates strong leadership. I shall remember this moment should my old habits ever begin to creep back in. And now, please, let us leave the lower decks. If the Rogue Trader desires to stretch his legs, there are far more suitable places. Ah, no, I handled that. Best I felt like I could. Alrighty. Well, we didn't make planetfall. But yes. Alright everybody, sadly that is going to have to be the end of today's episode. We didn't quite make the inroads I thought we were going to make, but we still got a lot done. We got some good stuff. I'm going to give you some crack grenades. I'm going to give you a crack grenade. I only have 2 healers, which is not good. Oh, she can heal too. Okay. 3 out of 5 can heal. I'm actually not too bad with that. I need to get this last gun traded out for something better soon as well. Some kind of maybe high-powered single shot bolt sniper or something like that. What's that? +5 ballistics, +5 perception. What pistol can be used as if the wielder has the dual weapon combat talent? Oh. Not as good as my little stubber, but it's not too bad. Is that stubber better than your last pistol? I do like this, I do like that. I'm gonna give you that. Actually, it's gonna go there. Yeah, alright, anyway. Oh, yeah, we got the companion too. So, yeah, things are looking up, and we are close to the astropathic station, I think, where the scream is coming from. So we'll jump in there next episode, hopefully, if we don't keep getting interrupted 4 million times, and see what we can make do. So, thank you for watching, everybody. I hope you enjoyed it, and join us for some more.
Lord Captain. Lord Captain.
Peace.